Well, here's Tomlin on defending the Niners offense.
What does that mean for us? We better tackle well. We better be sound schematically in terms of some matchup-related things and not put people in bad circumstances athletically. It's a coach's challenge, just a fundamental technical player's challenge from a tackling standpoint. Man, they got a sound, solid motor operation offensively, a diverse attack. They play really good and prudent situational football offensively. It allows them to take care of the ball and minimize negativity. They stay on schedule very well. But I think that's reflective of Kyle Shanahan. And he's been around a lot, and we've been exposed to him a lot over the years. And I just think that regardless of new and current chess pieces, that's kind of reflective of how he has always played over the years, and got a lot of respect for what he does and the manner in which he does it. And familiarity doesn't necessarily provide comfort. It just provides focus as we prepare and work to manage the things that he and they do.
I'm just reminded, like, everyone has different attributes. I think we look at coaching in a very weird way. I don't know why people do this, but, like, there are some coaches that are, like, tacticians. And,
right.
like, they understand things on a very, like, analytical level, right? Like, I look at Andy Reid, and I'm watching that QB doc. I keep referencing it, but, like, Andy Reid, I think, is very understated,
right,
very quiet, clearly understands the whiteboard, how to
right,
design and draw a play. But also, I think he does a really good job kind of tapping into the players. Like, less is more in how he communicates with them, but he feels like a player's coach,
right,
as well as a guy who's, like, on the board. I think Kyle is brilliant on the board, you know, in terms of
right,
designing plays. When I hear Tomlin, I hear a general. I hear somebody who is a leader. And there's many different ways to get it done. Belichick is not like Tomlin. Belichick's amazing. But do you get the same sense that he stands in front of the guys and woos them over and
right,
gets them foaming at the mouth? That's not Belichick's, skill set.
He's like a CEO.
Yes.
Tomlin. He's not calling defense. He's not calling the offense. He's a leader of men. And he's going to delegate to his other coordinators and his coaches, but he's going to oversee everything. Jim Harbaugh's exactly that way. John Harbaugh's that way too right now.
Who?
John Harbaugh with the Ravens.
I was going to say Deion. Like, we're looking at Deion Sanders, and he hired the best offensive coordinator that was available. The guy could have had jobs at smaller colleges, but being the OC for Deion is a big deal. And you look at their offense, you're like, that guy's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. He's going to get a Power 5 job. And I look at what Deion's putting together, and he's got a really impressive staff. Kyle has built an impressive staff, but when I listen to Tomlin, I do think the one area that he is very elite amongst all of these great talkers in the league. Pete Carroll's a great talker. Tomlin, man, there's a presence when you hear him at a podium, isn't there?
No doubt. You should see him too, man. He's looking around.
I want to play for him.
He's looking around. He's got his eyes all big. He's got the Jesus piece over the neck. He's something else, man. He is something else, man. But he said something here, and we're gonna play it.
I just love listening to him, B.
No, he's something else, man. I'm telling you, man. His opening statement was 6 minutes, and I'm sitting there laughing like, it's football season. That's one thing I do that's underrated about football to me. And we were talking about, why do you love football? What gets you going about football season? 888-957-9570. What's that one thing that makes you that gets you craving football? What is it about opening weekend of football? And I do this to Coach Speaks every week.
Oh, the cliches?
The cliches. Whether it's Belichick.
We did some good things and some bad things.
Whether it's Zach Taylor. Like, Sean Payton's going to be back at the podium this year.
Sean Payton.
And he's going to be running material. And I'm just, you should see the latest with ESPN and Russell Wilson about how he's telling Russell Wilson.
You about him?
He's something else, man.
Him and Russ, it's destined to not work.
It might blow up in his face.
Well, for those that don't know, what did he say on ESPN about Russell Wilson?
Well, he basically told Russell Wilson, hey, less about your brand, more about the team. I'm paraphrasing. Stop kissing all these babies.
I'm going to be real, though. Watching Russ in preseason, we hadn't really had an opportunity to talk about it. He did look like he lost a lot of weight.
He did. He looked like he's
really good.
Well, last year was an absolute debacle.
Well, he wanted to be a pocket quarterback. Right. I'm like, you're not a pocket quarterback.
Well, the money, too, that he's getting paid,
he
has to ball out. He has to ball out. So, Tomlin, man, he is a general. He sat there. Tomlin, I couldn't believe it, man. He sat there. Hello, everybody. Let me talk about my team. What's going on here? The bonus practice, player evaluation. Now let me get to the 49ers. And he starts going off and on about the 49ers. Then, about 17 minutes in, he says something about Brock Purdy.
Oh.
And it was very interesting. We'll get to that in a second.
17-minute mark?
17-minute mark. We got a Spinoni. You got it. Go ahead and play it. He was asked about Brock Purdy and about how Spinoni. Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead. Roll it.
What keys does your defense have to focus on for a quarterback like Brock Purdy when he hasn't had a ton of tape to study over the past couple years?
It's less specifically about Brock Purdy and it's more about how Kyle Shanahan chooses to utilize his quarterback within the schematics of what it is that he does. And so whether it's Purdy or Darnold or Garoppolo or anyone that, Matt Ryan or his days in Cleveland, we just see very similar things in terms of their approach to football. It's very quarterback friendly. It doesn't put them in a lot of adverse circumstances. It keeps them on schedule. And in doing so, it minimizes the potential for negativity. It's a great platform, particularly for a young guy to play and gain experience. And I think it's reflective of Purdy's journey a year ago and their collective journey a year ago. But I imagine his growth and development in that experience has him and them ready to take another step, just like we are with our young quarterback.
It's interesting. I don't want to knock Purdy's game in any way, but I'm just looking at like what they would want to do, right? And you always tell me, Joe, you got to worry about what the other team's going to do. Like, how do they view it? If I was trying to take away the best parts of Brock Purdy, what I would say the defense should do is try to take away all the short stuff, which is much easier said than done, and force him, and it's crazy that I'm going to say this, and people don't be triggered, force him to beat you from the pocket. I think he's at his best when he's out on the edges, moving around. And we say that more about the running quarterbacks.
Right.
But I think that Purdy has yet to prove to a lot of the NFL old school guys, can you beat us from the pocket in the intermediate to downfield action? And that might be something you say about 75% of the quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like Joe Burrow, no one's like, you got to beat us from the pocket, right? Like, we're like, you got to just knock Joe Burrow around. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. But
Got to just pray.
Right, exactly. So, but I don't think that's a knock on Purdy. I think Purdy's great strength is that he is elusive. His great strength is that he is dynamic on the short stuff. That he's very decisive and can read a defense pre-snap and find those quick hitters and get it to them and deliver it with different arm angles. I'm not diminishing Purdy in any way. I'm listening to what he's saying there, and to me, what he's trying to explain is, I want to force this guy to be a statuesque pocket quarterback. And I think the same thing would have been said about Jimmy Garoppolo.
What do you think, though, at the beginning of that cut, when he said, it's less about Purdy, it's more about Shanahan's system? And it's always been like that.
I just think it's him respecting the mind of how this offense is so creative and how it gets the ball out to those. I didn't interpret it as a diss on Purdy. I meant it more as like one coach acknowledging the X's and O's brilliance of another.
Right. That's interesting because
how did you perceive it?
It was interesting. It was interesting. Because in the past, when we say, like, for example, when Garoppolo was with the 49ers, we say, man, it was the Shanahan system. He's a system. I remember being in the Jaguars locker room in 2017 when the Niners beat the Jaguars and went on to go to the AFC Championship game. And a lot of people in the Niner locker room felt disrespected because guys like Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack, Calais Campbell, all those Telvin Smith, all those guys saying, it's the system, not Garoppolo. It's the system, not. And I thought at the time, that's a slight at Garoppolo. He does have to make the throws. He does have to make the reads. He has to make the right read. Why are we disrespecting Garoppolo and saying it's the system? Because every quarterback runs a system. We can say that for everybody. Drew Brees running Sean Payton's system. Tom Brady running McDaniel's system.
Daniel
Brady's
Jones
running Dayball's system.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Why are we disrespecting the quarterback so much? But other players say, oh, man, it's the system. So, to me, it was a little slight at Brock Purdy.